What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with an update from the reigning 212 Olympia champion, Keone Pearson. And as per Keone, he will be going pure shadow mode from this point onwards. But I can confidently say that we have seen enough from Keone to be very sure that no one is touching him in that entire 212. No one's coming close to beating that physique anytime soon. The man is built different and he is just in a league of his own. So the whole focus when it comes to Keone and the discussion around him, that is how high can he place at the Open Olympia? How will he compare with the big boys? 212 isn't even a consideration for him at this point. And that just goes to show us how dominant of a champion Keone has been. Even this year, you can already see that the conditioning from the back that just says it all. He is so far ahead of the schedule and is bound to present a much bigger, a much better, and probably his all-time best package come Olympia in October, in every way, shape and form. So this is gonna be the year in which Keone isn't gonna get beat, I'm gonna say in a single shot by anyone, including in that back double biceps by Sean Clarida. Because previously Sean was the one who kept on beating him in that rear double biceps. But in my opinion, not this time. Because this looks to be a much improved and a much more dense looking back. So whether Keone decides to do an open show next year, maybe the Arnold or not, that's totally up to him. But the pressure that is going to keep on mounting on him, especially after winning his third Olympia title this year. But that being said, the best thing that Keone is doing right now is taking his time, building up slowly, putting on muscle at a very steady pace, and making sure that his waistline, his aesthetics, they remain the same while he packs on more muscle to go up to 212 pounds, because that is the first target. And that is exactly why this has been one of the greatest evolution from classic physique into that 212. And at this point, it's an eventuality that he will grace the men's open stage, if not next year, maybe in 2027. And I think the whole of the bodybuilding world, they cannot wait to see that happen. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am.
I got history to make in 8 weeks. It's now or never.
Next up, we have an update from the reigning Arnold champion and the guy who is being underestimated a lot, Lunsford. So the man is carrying that same confidence that he had before this year's Arnold, Ohio, when the whole of the bodybuilding world that was claiming that there is no way Derek can make a comeback so strong that he will be able to beat the reigning Olympia champion Samson Dauda, and some people were even saying that he's gonna get beat by Andrew Jacked. And we have to give huge credit to both him and his coach Chris Azito, because that was possibly one of the greatest comebacks that we saw in the recent bodybuilding history, as many of us were under the impression that he will once again be top heavy, the way he was at the Olympia last year. And his quads from the front, they are gonna get exposed big time, standing between two mass monsters like Samson Dauda and Andrew Jack. But Derek ended up beating Samson both at the prejudging as well as at the finals, where Samson came back a lot better. So with 8.5 weeks to go till this year's Olympia, Derek is once again feeling extremely confident that he will be doing something that no bodybuilder in the history of the sport has ever done before. And that is losing the Olympia title, then winning the Arnold, and then winning the Olympia too. So Chris Azito, his coach, he himself said that Derek will have to be a lot better than even his Arnold Ohio package in order to beat Samson Dauda and Hadi, and of course the Mutant. Now there is a big challenge, because let's just say that Derek shows up with bare legs and arms. On top of that, he has to peak 100% right once again on the day of the show, which is something that can always be very tricky. But looking forward to seeing him and what he can bring to this upcoming Olympia stage. And I must say, people who are underestimating him, they are making a big mistake. Next up, we have an update from Good Vito. So his arms right now at 8 weeks out of this year's Mr. Olympia, which by the way is gonna be his Olympia debut. They are over 23 inches, so totally valid claim, since Vito has some of the best arms in the entire bodybuilding at the moment. Now just because he isn't posting any physique updates, the media has been paying very little attention to him, when the fact is, in reality, out of all the guys who are gonna be making their Olympia debut this year, Good Vito has the ability to place higher than all of them, except for maybe Behrouz Tabani. He has some very powerful shots, and that starts with his front double biceps, possibly one of the best front double in the entire men's open right now. He has an amazing abs and thigh, and also most muscular shot, plus the back lat spread that has also came up big time. And honestly, he could have done a lot of damage at this year's Pittsburgh Pro, and that too against some of the best bodybuilders in the game, if it wasn't for his lat tier. And that was the reason he had to sit out. So we are expecting to see some more improvements in his back double biceps and also in his shoulders, as that is one of his weaker areas. And he also lacks that chest density, especially in that side chest shot. He has kind of a smooth looking chest. But that being said, we have to keep in mind that guy is just 27 years old, and if I'm not mistaken, he's gonna be the youngest guy in this year's Olympia lineup, and he can definitely come in a lot harder and a lot more drier than his Arnold winning physique. Hopefully he does that, because that is a guy who is gonna take a lot of space on that stage, and the size game that we all know is always a big factor, especially at the Olympia. So if he can bring a better conditioning, he's gonna take out some big names. So majority of these IFBB pros, especially those very heavily muscle guys, they have to go through this one surgery at one point or another in their careers. And that is none other than the hernia surgery. So why do so many pros out there have this issue? That high internal abdominal pressure caused by heavy lifting first of all, and that too over and over again. And also that repetitive strain on the internal abdominal wall. And we have one legendary bodybuilder, one of the greatest of all time, the 7 times Olympia champion Phil Heath, who lost the title because of that hernia issue. Keone Pearson also went through that surgery earlier this year, and now Wesley Vizers, he just went through that. And for Wesley, it was the perfect time to get that done, since he is taking the entire year off, so he can afford to take 4 to 6 weeks off time away from the gym, rest and recover. So Wesley is probably the biggest guy currently in classic physique, with his off-season weight going up to 280 pounds. And we all saw him guest posing at the Pittsburgh Pro this year, and that too against a guy like Samson Dauda. And he looked pretty damn huge, even standing next to Samson. And if you can do that, you are legit a very big guy. And that is also the reason why so many people out there believe that Wesley will be a far better bodybuilder if he switches over in the men's open bodybuilding. Well, as of right now, Wesley is gonna rest up, recover, detox, and he's gonna come back sometime next year. But not with those same legs. It's a very simple fact. He needed a longer off season to really make those improvements, especially on his lower half. But the question is, will he be able to hold on to all that muscle, all that volume, as he diets down, as he comes down to his weight cap? Because the man is still very top heavy. Next up, we have an update from Rafael Brandao, roughly around 8 weeks out from this year's Olympia. So I wonder what Brandao has to say to all the guys. For instance, Jordan Hutchinson, who said that he's going for a place higher than top 10. Sazan Hiroti and Regan, they both said the same thing. Now surely they're talking about beating a guy like Rafael Brandao and pushing him outside of that top 8 or even top 9. So Rafael Brandao is a very competitive athlete in that Olympia top 10. But we already know he won't be amongst those biggest guys in this year's Olympia lineup. But that being said, he has to be relatively bigger than what we saw last year. So Romania Pro after the Olympia last year, that was the last show that he did. And he had a whole off season afterwards, focused on only one thing, putting on more muscle, more mass, and coming in bigger. And even though he had that stomach issue, he is supposed to show up big, but at the same time come in very aesthetic. So if there is one strength that Rafael Brandao will always hold on to. That is his overall aesthetics, his beautiful shape, his classic lines, and the whole theory behind him getting bigger, growing very slowly. That was to maintain all those classic lines. Now, many of these guys have been underestimating Rafael Brandao, and that is why I do believe we have to go back and see how crazy impressive Brandao looked at the Arnold Ohio last year against Samson Dauda and Hadi Chopin. Because at that show, the man was peaked to perfection. Now that is a type of physique from which you just simply cannot take your eyes off. And that is what bodybuilding is all about, creating that illusion, having the best sex frame. And Rafael is definitely one of those guys who has some of the best aesthetics in the entire men's open. And he is probably the only top tier Olympian who right now is working with Neil Hill. So he will definitely try and bring him in very dry and very shredded. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video. And smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.